We'll go ahead and get started. Just want to first welcome everyone to our press conference to kickstart our 54th annual ISNA convention. My name is Faryal Patri. It's Faryal. Last name Khatri, and I'm with ISNA's Communications Department. I also want to introduce Salman Azam, who is our media chair for the convention. So if you have any questions, you can direct them to me or Salman. When we checked in, we have folders here with some information. We've got some recommended sessions, and as well as our press release and the full program book. And we invite you to attend all 4 days of our convention, and you're welcome to cover all 4 days. We'll go ahead and begin with our first speaker, Azhar Aziz, ISNA's president.
Good morning, Assalamu alaikum. My name is Azhar Aziz, spelled as A-Z-H-A-R. Last name is Aziz. I'm honored to be president of this amazing organization, the Islamic Society of North America. This is our 54th anniversary effort that was started in 1963 by a few students in Urbana-Champaign. Later on got transformed into this very vibrant and forceful American Muslim organization called as Islamic Society of North America. This year's theme is Hope and Guidance through Quran, and we are very excited to be back in this amazing city of Chicago. In last several decades, some of the most successful and amazing conventions that we had happened to be in this beautiful city of Chicago. So on behalf of the Majlis and all the staff, I want to express my deepest gratitude and thanks to this amazing city, the residents of this amazing city, for hosting ISNA conventions. The vision of this organization has always been to be an exemplary and unifying Islamic organization in North America that contributes to the betterment of Muslim community and society at large. And this is our vision, and this is what we strive for every single day. In last 1 year, Islamic Society of North America was able to visit more than 100 cities across America, taking our spiritual conferences over there, educating people about their faith, and also educating them about their rights as American citizens, and also addressing current and contemporary issues pertaining to the lives of American Muslims. ISNA has made a tremendous amount of progress, especially in last 2 decades when it comes to interfaith and outreach to the different branches of the administration. We take great pride in this fact that we have so many partners, so many friends from the other faiths. Immediately after 9/11, we were able to establish this amazing organization called as Shoulder to Shoulder, that brought more than 35 different faith-based denominations coming together, expressing their solidarity with American Muslims, upholding American values. There are 6 strategic goals that ISNA strives and works for every single day. Number 1, community development. Number 2, youth involvement. Number 3, public image of Islam. Number 4, leadership training and development of interfaith and coalition building, and number 5, sound financial base. Once one of the founders of this organization, late Dr. Jamal Barzinji, he said, every cultured Muslim in North America belongs to 2 organizations. One is his own, and the second one is Islamic Society of North America. I want to very briefly bring it to your attention some of the current challenges that we are facing as a community. Especially, I want to focus on this Muslim ban. Unfortunately, this decision came right after the day of Eid. As you all know, Muslims fast for a whole month, in the blessed month of Ramadan, and they celebrate their festival, Eid al-Fitr. And this decision that came out, allowing a limited version of Muslim ban, this executive order came into effect yesterday, and I very strongly believe that this order ignores the Islamophobic origins of the policy and strengthens the narrative and positions of Islamophobes' influence on the administration. So this is something that we have opposed, and we will continue to oppose because we have our utmost faith in the ideals and the values and the constitution of our great land, and we feel that this decision is wrong, and this is a decision where a religious minority is being specifically targeted. So we will continue to oppose, and we will do whatever we can to address the concerns of our community. I'll be here to take your questions after this press conference, but I want to take this opportunity to thank each one of you. I want to urge you to cover the convention, hear the speakers, listen to them what they have to say. There are more than 200 speakers who are going to talk about a very diverse amount of topics and subjects. We have experts, we have activists, we have individuals who come from different backgrounds, or very diverse backgrounds, who will be addressing important issues pertaining to the American Muslim community. So I would urge you to please enjoy your stay over here at the convention. Salman and Sister Faryal are here. They'll be more than happy to assist you and accommodate you. And if you have any questions, please feel free to contact them. But again, I want to thank you for being with us this morning. And once again, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to all of you. And with that being said, I'll yield the floor back to Sister Faryal.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Dr. Asra Ali. She is one of our board of directors at ISNA, as well as Convention Steering Committee co-chair.
Good morning, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be with all of you, and welcome to the 54th Annual ISNA Convention. We, as the Chicago Host Committee, look forward to making this yet another memorable convention experience. Last Sunday marked the end of Ramadan, a month of spiritual reflection and rejuvenation and of faith for many Muslims across the world and in our own country. And it is also a time of renewed reverence for the Quran. So given the time frame, the ISNA Convention Programming Committee had picked this as their theme, hope and guidance through the Quran. This Ramadan in particular was a very difficult one for many in the community. With the attacks in Portland, London, the local suburb of Northern Virginia, just to name a few, it had left many feeling alone and saddened. So more than any other year, I really hope that this convention is especially one that brings us all together to feel that sense of unity and belonging, and that this gathering serves as a place of community building by supporting one another, listening to one another, encouraging one another, and in the end, that can hopefully lead to individual growth, collective collaboration for change, and an amplification of our voices and needs. There is definitely something for everyone here this weekend. For details, please visit the ISNA website to look at the day-by-day programming. In addition, there's a multitude of special events. There's the Community Service Recognition Luncheon, which will be tomorrow afternoon, which will feature an award given to a veteran interfaith leader, Dr. Said, and keynote speaker Linda Sarsour. There's an interfaith banquet with faith leaders from across the country. There's a film festival, art festival, health fair, a 500+ vendor bazaar, which is a huge attraction for many, a basketball tournament, carnival for children, and this year also to commemorate the Eid, a special Eid party today in the lobby area. I encourage you all to attend, and I wish you all an amazing ISNA experience.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Mir Khan, who is ISNA Convention Steering Committee co-chair.
Good morning, Assalamu alaikum. So I'm just going to cover some of the information and programming that's involved in the convention. As a matter of fact, the convention has 5 different tracks. One, of course, are sessions which are primarily done by ISNA. Then there is a second track where the Muslim Student Association will have a bunch of speeches and programs. That is the second track. Then we have MINA, which is the Muslim Youth of North America. They have a full-fledged program. And all these programs that are being conducted by these different tracks are also in the booklet for the convention. The fourth track is the IMANA, which is the Islamic Medical Association of North America. And last but not the least is AMSED, which is Association of Muslim Scientists and Engineers. This convention is going to draw as many as 200 outstanding speakers. They have 6 plenary sessions, about 25 main sessions, 20 special workshops, and 4 roundtable discussions with experts and activists on major issues that are concerning the Muslim community in North America. As Asra mentioned, we have about 550 vendors in the bazaar, and the bazaar that ISNA has, no other organization or community has this kind of a bazaar in any convention. This is a historic and point worth noting in terms of what they offer here. Some of the special events which were mentioned, but I will cover the ones which were missed, I think. I'll just recap again. We have film festival, Quran competition, Islamic art exhibition, entertainment session, meet the author. There's going to be healthcare. There's a lot of emphasis on healthcare, and they're going to do a lot of different things, specifically, the blood donation is part of it. And we encourage the people who are attending the convention to be generous and give blood here. There's going to be basketball tournaments both for boys and girls. And last but not the least, they have the young professionals luncheon as well. Well, just want to run down some of the significant events that are going to happen. Today, one of the things that's going to happen is the president of ISNA, Brother Aziz, is going to give the sermon the Friday prayers. And in the evening, there's an interfaith leaders gathering program where specifically Bishop Elizabeth Eaton is going to be speaking. There will be a special supplication for the girl Nabra Hasnaini, who was murdered in the suburbs of Virginia. For tomorrow, we are going to have several outstanding speakers and nationally renowned speakers such as Yasser Qadi, Umar Sulaiman, Mehdi Hassan, and of course our own ISNA President Azhar Aziz, and a bunch of other speakers are there, and their names are all listed in our souvenir. Sunday night, we are going to have several entertainers entertain our people here, the folks who are in the convention. Specifically, Dean Scott from Canada is one of those entertainers. I would like to also impress upon the media here that in this convention that you will see a lot of diversity, which will include a lot of Latinos, African American, Arabs, Bosnian, Somalians, and other folks from other countries as well. Last but not the least, this convention is a huge undertaking by ISNA, which requires a lot of volunteers to step up and manage this convention. For that, we have about 18 committees and about 250 volunteers who work relentlessly to execute all the deliverables that are needed to functioning of this convention under the leadership of the convention director, Mr. Bashar Salim. Thank you.
And our final speaker is Abdullah Mitchell, who is the CIOGC Council of Islamic Organizations of Greater Chicago Executive Director.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome. On behalf of the Council of Islamic Organizations of Greater Chicago, I extend a warm welcome to the leadership, President Aziz and the leadership of Islamic Society of North America. And I want to preface my remarks by sharing a little of my history. I'm a convert to Islam. That happened in 1974. And how I became to Islam was through a local MSA chapter at the University of Pittsburgh. And through that, reaching out through that particular chapter, I got introduced, in essence, to the way of life that I've adopted since that time. MSA, is, for some of you know, really is the root of the foundation of the Islamic Society of North America. And this is the organic growth that whole process has brought about what you see today in this particular convention. And over the years, we can see ISNA has been a significant contributor to the fabric of Islam in North America, more particularly in the United States. And having been the host, Chicago, the local chapter here, being the host of the last 3 conventions held by ISNA, some strong relationships have been formed. And it is a special benefit to the city of Chicago to have this conference here. The Chicagoland area has approximately 400,000 Muslims of diverse backgrounds, of all nationalities and all racial ethnicities. And it gives us a unique opportunity to benefit from a wealth of scholars, leaders, activists from across the country to come and just, in essence, drive from your home to benefit from this talent and knowledge. So I would like to conclude my remarks by once again extending a welcome on behalf of the Council of Islamic Organizations of Greater Chicago to the leadership of ISNA. And some of you may or may not know, this is a position I'm just assuming, I'm a couple of months into. And as the executive director, I want to extend to the president my commitment to further strengthen the relationship between ISNA and the Council of Islamic Organizations in the years to come. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you. And before I open the floor to question and answer, I just want to introduce my colleague, Basharat Salim, who is the director of convention. He's the one that oversees the Monumentist convention. Welcome. So I'll go ahead and take the moment now to open the floor to question and answer. If there's any questions for our panel.
Well, can you guys address a little more the travel ban and how it's affected Muslim American communities throughout the U.S.?
Sure.
Sure. Absolutely. So,
Would you mind doing it at the microphone? I'm sorry.
Sure. First of all, we hope that what we have seen in January when the first order came out, there was a complete chaos at all the airports. But also at the same time, we were deeply touched by the response that we received from our friends from the other faiths. Hundreds and thousands of people who belong to different faiths came out and stood by the American Muslim community, showing their solidarity, because they very strongly believed that this order was discriminatory and it was unjust. Now we all know that these 6 countries that has been listed, there are a lot of American Muslims who have their relatives, who have their children, who have their spouses over there. Now it has caused tremendous amount of stress on the hearts and minds of these citizens, because it will have an impact on their lives and on their families. We have opposed this ban when it was first introduced in January, and now we do oppose it again, and we are very optimistic that in October, when this will go back for review, the courts will take the right decision and they will declare this particular order as invalid. So that's what we hope for. We have our utmost faith in the judicial system of our nation. We have our utmost faith that the lawmakers will abide by the Constitution of our nation. We strongly believe in the values and the ideals of our nation. So we hope that justice will prevail.
And can either of you address how the rhetoric in the last 6 months or last year has affected Muslim Americans, whether there's more fear in the community now than there used to be?
Sure. So, first we have to acknowledge that Islamophobia is not a phobia anymore. It's not a myth, it's a reality. It's a full-fledged industry that is thriving every single day by selling fear and creating doubts in the minds of common Americans against Muslims and against Islam. We very strongly believe that what we heard during the campaign will not be repeated ever again. People said some very hurtful, very un-American, very vicious statements against Muslims. In the past, those statements were made in the four walls of their living rooms or bedrooms. Now they came out in public domain and they were saying these hurtful things, which is very un-American. But at the same time, we are very happy that so many of our fellow Americans are standing by the American Muslim community. According to Pew, when they came out with a report in February of this year, they said that the American Muslim approval rate is 45%. Never in the history of our nation we saw after the inauguration of an administration that millions of people came out and marched and stood by the American Muslim community. They spoke against xenophobia, they spoke against Islamophobia. And just yesterday I was talking to one gentleman and he said, we are witnessing the worst times of our life. I told that person, be optimistic, we are witnessing the best times of our lives. Because when was the last time when people in thousands came to the airports and stood by the American Muslim community opposing ban? When was the last time when millions of people in extreme cold weather came out and protested? This has never happened before. So fear, and I just want to send this message to those individuals who are in the business of fear mongering. Fear, F-E-A-R, stands for forget everything and run, or face everything and rise. American Muslims have chosen the second option. We will face everything and we will rise. And I'm very optimistic that we all, as Americans, will overcome this particular challenge.
Thank you. Dr. Nasralli wanted to comment as well. Sorry? Oh, I'm sorry. It's all Mitchell. I apologize for that.
Let me bring you the perspective of being a lawyer as well as being Muslim. First thing, the American public, and more particularly the Muslim community, should bear in mind that the Supreme Court is not sanctioning the Muslim ban. The Supreme Court decided that it is with the action, this executive order is within the purview of the president's authority as the president. And to the extent that on its face, it does not comport with the Constitution, that's why the ban is now limited. So we must take heart, as President Aziz referred to, the Supreme Court is going to address this in October. The second thing that I would like to share with you would be, and once again, let me underscore some of the point that was made by President Aziz, and that's really what we're facing It's not the travel ban is not the real issue. The real issue that faces us as a community and the greater community of the United States community as a whole. Are we going to let words of hate infect our thoughts and our actions? It's like poison. And that poison leads to fear. And when you have two reactions, now, you got the acronym for how it is. We can run or we can rise. Because some people's reaction to fear is they will use violence as a way to react. And if we do not take the responsibility to rise and act and speak out against the hateful words, then they will take root. Already, one of the initial reactions to the death of the young Muslim girl from Northern Virginia, right outside of D.C. The person who committed the act beat this child with a baseball bat was an illegal immigrant. So what was done? Okay, let's classify this and characterize this. See, oh, I'm right. We got to watch out for these illegal aliens. They're the ones that's doing it. His status as an illegal alien had nothing to do with the commission of this crime. It is his mindset infected what I'm calling the poison of hateful words that caused that man to overreact. To call for them not to even consider this to be a hate crime, that's an affront to the Muslim community. That should not be. And the last point I want to leave with you as we're discussing this particular point is in my research and trying to find out more about the travel ban. What's the difference between travel ban 1.0 and 2.0, and now they're calling it 3.0. 3.0 is 2.0 with just some of it stripped down. But let's look at 2.0. What's the difference? One country got taken off the list. What was that country? It was Iraq. Wait a minute. If this is a country that really poses the threat, why was it taken off? Well, as it was reflected in the court decision I read, it was taken off because there's an agreement struck between the United States and Iraq to take refugees back. So if this great fear that we're concerned about is reflected in all of these 7 countries, it should not have changed because you struck a deal to get some people out of your country. So I would ask that the Muslim community as a whole remain vigilant, that we must speak out against the travel ban and to further educate and understand and educate our neighbors because they don't know as well. They're relying on what they hear and what is being said. When our president in this last press conference, when he met the Prime Minister in India and how there's going to be a joint action to oppose terrorism, the last phrase he said is, okay, we're going to fight terrorism, blah, 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 blah. But the next thing he called it Islamic terrorism. There is no such thing as Islamic terrorism. That's an oxymoron. Islam is a religion. It is not a form of aggression. So educate, the message for us all is that further educate ourselves to be active and engage our neighbors to understanding what this is all about. It's about hate. Thank you.
Do you guys blame Donald Trump for the rise in Islamophobia and the attacks and the rise in hate? And I'm sorry, that'll be the last one.
So in this whole Islamophobic industry, one person doesn't matter. We know that there are certain vested interest groups. All you have to do is go at islamophobianetwork.com and download Fearing 2.0 report that tells you exactly who are the folks who are in the extreme right-wing groups, who are their friends in the media, who are their validators, who are the punters, who are their ringleaders. So it exposes the entire industry. What I can say about Mr. Trump is that his statements and his rhetoric has caused a great amount of harm to the American Muslim community. This goes against the ideals and values of our nation. This country has always been an inclusive nation, a tolerant nation, a pluralistic nation, and this nation has always celebrated different faiths, different traditions, different cultures, different ethnicities, and we as Americans have an obligation to make sure that we uphold all these things.
And Dr. Australia has a comment.
I just wanted to say that as a woman and as a Muslim woman who chooses to wear a headscarf and thus making myself more visible as a Muslim, and knowing that the level and number of hate crimes is increased for me and many, yes, the level of fear is increased. However, at the same time, I take a lot of comfort in knowing that for all of those who do have feelings of hatred or prejudice, there are more who are willing to work together and come together in solidarity for the betterment of our whole community, of our whole nation. And that's what gives me hope. And that's why things like this convention, where we all come together, people of different faiths, different backgrounds, in order to educate ourselves about one another better. This is why it's so much more important, where things are occurring in communities across the nation, in mosques, in community centers, where people of different faiths or no faiths, or just people who are concerned and supportive, are gathering to show their support and love for one another. And that's what gives us hope, and that's what I hope you'll see at this convention.
Thank you. Are there any additional questions?
I just have a quick one.
Yes.
Which is just how you chose Rosemont as the location for the convention and just what that means to the greater Chicago Muslim American population.
Sure.
Can you just repeat your question?
Sure. It's just how you chose Rosemont as the location for the convention.
Sure.
And what that significance is to the Muslim American population in Chicago.
Sure. So Chicago is home to several 100,000 Muslims. That's number one. Number two, Chicago is considered as a crossroads of America. So whether you are in the East Coast or West Coast, or whether you are in the South, it's easily accessible for people to come and participate in this convention. But most importantly, we are very indebted to the community of Chicago, because they have always hosted us. They have come in large numbers. They have volunteered their valuable time. Some of our members are from this particular city, so that's the reason why we always come to Chicago for 2-3 years in a row, and then we move the convention to other cities such as Washington, D.C. or Ohio. Next year we'll be going to Houston, Texas. But there is nothing like Chicago. I have to be a little bit biased for this city, because this city has given us some of the most successful and some of the most exciting conventions in the past several decades. And this is the reason why we come to Chicago. Also, Chicago is just 3 hours away from our headquarters, which is based out of Plainfield, Indiana. So it's very easily accessible to our staff, so they can come and coordinate and work with volunteers. And these are a few reasons why we choose to come to Chicago. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
2 questions. First, you mentioned the number of volunteers and everything, but how many people are registered to attend?
So we are hoping for several thousand participants. We will be able to give you the exact number only after the convention, because already several thousand people have registered on site, and throughout this convention there will be many who will be registering on site when they come over here. So we will give you the exact numbers after the convention, but we are definitely expecting several thousand people to come and attend this important convention.
And hope plays a role in this sort of divisive and hateful?
Sure, thank you so much. So, the theme that we chose this year, hope and guidance through Quran. So we wanted to go back to our basics, where we want to give this message to our community members that no matter how difficult the circumstances are, no matter how challenging things are in front of you, you always seek comfort through your holy scripture, through your holy book. Now, definitely, this convention is taking place exactly a week after the blessed month of Ramadan. So what we did was we reached out to the community across the nation, and we told them that this is a beautiful opportunity for families from different parts of the country to come together and do their reunion, and also at the same time enjoy 200 plus speakers who will be addressing important topics pertaining to the American Muslim community. Also, looking at some of the external challenges, some of the hateful rhetoric that we have been seeing, we reached out to our community and we told them that this is the best time for all of us to come together and show our solidarity, show our numbers. Also, it is something very critical that I want to share with you, that this year, our friends from the Evangelical Lutheran community, they are commemorating their 500th anniversary. So we are expecting at least 400 to 500 of our friends from the Lutheran community will be joining us. Their presiding bishop will be addressing our banquet on Sunday night, and she will also be present today at the inaugural session. We'll also have some of our friends from the Catholic and the Jewish community. They'll be joining us throughout this convention. This tells you that in last 25, 30 years, we were able to build many bridges, we were able to break many barriers, and we take great pride in this fact that we have so many friends from the other communities who understand our concerns, who understand our issues, and they are coming out in open and showing their solidarity with the American Muslim community. And I believe that this possibility, this opportunity only exists here in this great land of ours. And we celebrate this every single day, and we take great pride in this fact.
Thank you. Leon?
I just wanted to mention that, yeah, of course, there's a lot of Islamophobia and all negative things that happen on a day-to-day basis. But I should also impress upon you that there are a lot of positive things that come out with this as well. I mean, I work in a professional environment and I travel a lot. Over the last few years, I've traveled quite extensively internationally and nationally. Always have great experience. My daughter wears hijab, and I pointedly asked her the other day, you've been wearing hijab for a few years now. Can you tell me any incident or anything that happened that makes you apprehensive about wearing it? And she categorically mentioned to me that absolutely not. There was not one incident that happened there. Actually, people seem to be more nice to me rather than I go to the airport or I'm in public setting. We have to manage it. It's the same thing with our neighbors. Everybody is very supportive, and anytime something happens, when the initial travel ban came into effect, I was one of the participants in the O'Hare Airport protest, and to my amazement, I think over 90% of the people were not Muslims actually. They were people of other faiths. They're coming with banners and all that. So that is what the Aziz was also mentioning earlier on, that despite whatever is happening, we are also getting a tremendous amount of support. And I think Muslim community is also doing one thing which is making a difference. I know in Chicagoland during Ramadan specifically, there were groups of people who hosted a lot of iftar parties, invited their neighbors with interfaith groups, and they collected all things that are very needful for the bed shelter for women, the orphanages and whatnot. So there's a lot of good work is happening, and they're getting a lot of support. In fact, I could tell you that the one group that I personally know, they were able to collect a lot of money to send and help all these different initiatives and different activities that are taking place. So, I'm very optimistic that with all this turmoil and challenges we have, inshallah, we will come out with flying colors and will be able to manage it better going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll go ahead and conclude the press conference. I want to thank you again for coming and thank our panelists.